Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Mulberry Christian News. I'm your host, Abel Santos. This evening, instead of starting with local news, I'm going to start with a couple of Christian news items that may be of benefit to know about them. A church building demolished in Zanzibar, Tanzania. A congregation on Tanzania's semi-autonomous island of Zanzibar have been without a place to worship this year after local authorities demolished their church building. And the Reverend Billy Graham's body will lie in honor in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda next week, the first time a private citizen has been accorded such recognition since civil rights hero Rosa Parks in 2005. Also, President Donald Trump announced today that the new U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem will open in May 2018 to coincide with the 70th anniversary of when David Ben-Gurion announced the establishment of the Jewish state and Israel took its place among the nations on May 14, 1948. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson signed off on the security plan yesterday by moving the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and a ribbon-cutting ceremony is being planned for mid-May. Several possible sites are being considered. The most likely plan involves a phased approach to opening the embassy in Jerusalem's Anana neighborhood at an existing U.S. facility that handles consular affairs like passports and visas. The U.S. could initially retrofit a small suite of offices in that facility to accommodate the U.S. Ambassador David Friedman and one or two top aides, such as his chief of staff. The rest of the embassy staff would remain in Tel Aviv until the Anana facility is expanded to accommodate more personnel. And on some veterans news that also affects people in general, according to a February 1st Environmental Health Perspective Focus article by Charles W. Schmidt, at long last scientists are linking paternal exposures to certain chemicals with higher risks of cancer and genital malformations in children, and there is evidence that children may have a higher risk of metabolic diseases and type 2 diabetes if their father ate a poor diet prior to conception. Animal studies, too, are providing glimpses into how paternal environmental experiences can affect the health of offspring. According to an article by Yasmin Cardhary posted on the U.S. World One Centennial Commission webpage, 18 African American women served in the Army Nurses Corps stateside during World War I. These nurses all came from Freedmen's Hospital, now Howard University Hospital, in Washington, D.C., and they were assigned to Camp Sherman in Chillicothe, Ohio. And according to a February 15th Fox News article reported by Perry Salamonti, the thousands of U.S. military personnel and private contractors whose health was compromised by the dense black smoke of burn pits and who were then denied proper treatment may finally be vindicated by a recent court ruling. A judge under the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Workmen's Compensation Programs decreed last month that open-air burn pits where chemicals were released into the air after the incineration of trash and other waste at American military bases in Iraq and Afghanistan are connected to lung disease. And for anyone who's on Medicare, be aware of this Medicare scam. Someone from Medicare will call you and say that you're getting a new card. They will say that until it comes, you will need a temporary card that costs between $5 and $50. And then they will ask for your bank information and credit card information to process the temporary card. Please don't. This is nothing more than a scam. So pass this on to anyone that you know. The facts are Medicare communicates only by mail unless you tell them to call you. Starting on April 1st, Medicare will begin a year-long program to replace all current Medicare beneficiary cards to convert to alphanumerical ID numbers. Excuse me. Currently, your ID number is your Social Security number. All the new Medicare cards will come in the mail. You don't need to do anything. Your Medicare will show up. And gone but not forgotten, a new concrete memorial is being added to Arlington National Cemetery, honoring the nearly 5,000 pilots and crew members who perished serving our country in Southeast Asia. The Vietnam Helicopter Pilots Association is paying for the monument, the culmination of a multi-year effort to gain the support and approvals. The dedication ceremony is set for April 18, 2018. The Grand Memorial says 1961 to 1975, in honored memory of the helicopter pilots and crew members who gave the full measure of devotion to their nation in the Vietnam War. And ecstasy is holding promise for treating PTSD. According to a February 7 Channel 13 Hampton Roads, Virginia report by Laura Geller, an illegal drug that is popular in the club scene may offer hope for veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. The federal government fast-tracked a study on how MDMA, more commonly called ecstasy or Molly, can help people with PTSD. So far, the results have been so promising, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has designated it a breakthrough therapy. If you were stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina for at least 30 days between between August 1st, 1953 and December 31st, 1987, VA Secretary describes possible disability compensation and healthcare benefits available for veterans. So for all the years that they said it wasn't happening, it looks like it's finally coming through, which will be good news for a lot of veterans who have been suffering through all these difficult times. And at the City Commission meeting on Tuesday evening, congratulations were extended to Commissioners Colin Smith, Jim Splain, and Rick Stratman, in effect being re-elected to new terms of office since they met no opposition by last Friday's deadline for filing for the April 3rd city election. There will still be an election, but only for the proposed charter changes. The city will also resume more street paving. The money is there, which has been allocated, and some monies are required to be spent only for streets. Commissioners also gave their blessing for City Manager Rick Johnson to proceed on his plans for a new floating dock for Cape Whitten. The lake is named for a Mulberry area constable who died in the line of duty after being shot in the 1930s outside of town. Also, City Manager Johnson reported a new business is coming to the city. It is an established business outside of Mulberry that is moving into the city limits. City Manager also reported that the city will be sprucing up with some new benches, and some swing sets have also gone up in some of the area parks. And tomorrow, Super Saturday is coming, when some heroes will return to the fourth Saturday event at Spence Park. This has always been popular with children and families. The City Attorney John Murphy reported on some legal matters. The Landfall Realty lawsuit against the city is moving through the court. The city's insurer is taking care of the city's defense. The city has asked for a dismissal of the case, which is yet to be ruled on. Also, Attorney Murphy stated that a letter has been drafted and is being finalized to be sent to the Mulberry Community Service Center, which had sent an earlier letter to the city asking for some $40,000. The city and the Mulberry Community Service Center have some issues with each other. The local agency will not be going into the City Community Services building as once planned, and will soon vacate the city's building that has been in for years on Northeast 5th Street. The Mulberry Community Center has asked the city in recent letter for money which it claims it had put into new service building in anticipation of moving in there. The city of Mulberry has subsidized the Mulberry Community Service Center since it was founded in the 1970s. But the city has of late questioned how much of the money is going to benefit the public and if the mission of the agency has not changed. For decades, the city let the agency use its building rent-free, provided utilities, upkeep, outside maintenance, and a monthly check for $300. There is also will be absentee ballots available for the April 3rd city election, in which charter amendment proposals will be voted on. And Gordon Chase, the Mulberry City Finance Director, gave a financial update. He and the city manager went through several recent months of finances, and there were no surprises. Spending in different areas was on budget or below budget. The city is still working with FEMA on reimbursement from Hurricane Irma back in September. Also, it's been noted that the city cannot emphasize enough to get out the vote in the April 3rd election, even though no candidate will be on the ballot. Mayor George Hatch said the proposed charter changes to be voted on came after a lot of work by the Mulberry Charter Review Committee, which represented a good cross-section of the community. Excuse me. Also, City Manager Rick Johnson said he has a meeting this week concerning the old Gem Theater building. Some of those involved in the discussion making work at different times, and it's a matter of the best time to get together. The Gem Theater has fallen on hard times over the years, as movie theaters did in many cities. It is owned by some unions related to the area phosphate industry, which have lost a number of members over the years due to the decline of the phosphate. The city wants to see if the building can be repurchased before it is torn down by the owners.